Great morning to you. Now, you see the title of the video of Floyd, Manny, Canelo, and ducking, quack quack. You always hear people talk about somebody's ducking in boxing, but let me tell you what. This is real talk. In boxing, there really aren't a lot of people who are truly ducking. And when I say ducking, just somebody that you just avoiding because you just don't want to fight him because you're gonna lose. You really just don't think you can beat this dude, and you think you're gonna lose, so you just avoid. That's ducking. That really doesn't happen often, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm actually not even. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna give you some examples. Like I said in a previous video, I was telling you about how boxing and any other sport you can't compare them. And the reason you can't compare them is, again, you have football. You play the regular season. The top teams make it to the playoffs. They play each other. The top two winning teams play each other in the end. They win the Super Bowl. Baseball, you have the divisions. The top teams in the divisions go. Now they added the wild card to add a couple extra teams in. You go to the postseason. You play. Top two teams are in the World Series. Even in college football now. Now they have playoff system. College basketball, the NBA. Everybody has it where they have a system that narrows it down to trying to get the best teams to play the best teams. Even if you're not going to use a team sport, let's say tennis, you don't pick who you get to play. They have seedings. They throw you in there. You play who's across the court from you. The and the two final people in the end playing the championship. Period. Boxing, totally different. The difference is with boxing, you have promoters. Promoters promote fights. Now, let me be clear before I even get into the video. I know people always say, oh, I want the best to fight the best, and you should always fight the toughest guy. The top two people should always be fighting each other, blah, 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 blah. They're great. But I'm going to tell you what will end up happening, especially in the sport of boxing that's a little more physical than a lot of other sports. Your career in the sport is going to be short, and when it's over, you're going to be broke. It's you basically, if the best just always fight the best. Period. No other circumstances. Just the best fighter fighting the best fighter. It's just like a running back. It's like Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell was a beast. He was a beast in the NFL. Short career though, because he ran hard every play. Or was he a great running back? And will he be always remembered? Absolutely. Career short though, knee problems, running too hard on every play, on plays that they didn't even need him to run hard, but that was his style. Now let's equate that to boxing. Now if I'm boxing, and you have boxers that the best fighter is always fighting the best fighter, and they don't take into account marketability, your career is going to be short, and you're going to end up broke. The reason you have to take into account marketability is because you have promoters. That's the difference. That's why boxing's a little different. That's why sometimes you got to get some of these boxers a little bit of, you got to cut them a little bit of slack. Because the game isn't the same as any other sport. You got to realize that. I've never heard anybody actually break it down this way or even have this way of think about it this way. But just in regular life, I want to tell you something that I tell everybody that knows me in real life. And like if I say something and they think it's smart or provocative or whatever, I always tell them, I'm not smart. I just think differently than most people. So you got to look at it in a different manner. I'm not trying to change nobody's mind. However you feel, you can feel however you want to feel. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just trying to open it a little. an open mind to change on his own. I don't gotta change it. But if you take the fact that you have promoters, now promoters, a promoter is gonna have a tough job promoting somebody that's not marketable. So let's just take Floyd, for example. We start off with Floyd because he's, the most hated on. And you always hear Floyd, they say Floyd's ducking and he's scared of this person. And they got all kinds of names. And, they come up with the Flomo name, which is mad disrespectful. And not even just disrespectful to Floyd. It's disrespectful to anybody that's homosexual. It's just disrespectful in this day and age to call somebody a Flomo or a pactard. It's just disrespectful. You have people who have mentally challenged people in their family, and you guys are running around calling a boxing fan a pactard. But I'm not judging y'all. Y'all can keep doing it, and I'm not saying that I just ain't gonna do it. But I'm not saying that you can't. You do whatever you want to do, and I ain't gonna be mad at you. I just wouldn't do it. But I'm gonna still support your channel. If you say stuff that I'd like to hear, I'm gonna listen to it. So that's just my quick take on that. But and I will say the whole the whole gay runner statement is actually mad funny. It's inaccurate and kind of corny, but it is funny. When I first heard that, I'm like, gay runner? Run, Floyd, run. I was like, man, these cats is wild. But it is what it is. You got a lot of childish people on the internet, and sometimes childish behavior is actually pretty damn funny. All right, we're starting off with Floyd. Take Floyd's career. They say, oh, Floyd ducking. He's ducking this person, ducking that person. The ducking talk never really started until he left Bob Arum. Just like he said. So really, until he hit welterweight, it never really started. But I tell you when I first started hearing about it when he fought Zab Judah instead of fighting Baltimore. He was scheduled to fight Baltimore. He was scheduled to fight Judah. But Judah, that was if Judah beat Baltimore. We all know what happened there. And he went ahead and fought Judah anyway. The media crucified him. Oh, he's ducking Baltimore. Baltimore is the biggest threat to Floyd's O. And in retrospect, people say something different, but I remember it at the time. They said he was scared of Baltimore, and people really thought Baltimore was a legitimate threat to beat Floyd. He was on a roll at the time. He beat Zab. He knocked out what was the dude from the Contender? Even though he's a cat from the Contender, which meant nothing, but he punished him. And then he punished Gotti. And, Gotti is another person who's actually benefited from promotion. He punished Gotti, and it built him up. Now, Floyd ended up fighting Zab, which was the fight that the public wanted to actually see the most. The hardcore boxing fan wanted him to fight the winner, obviously, and the winner was Baltimore. Even though he was supposed to fight Zab, the winner's Baltimore. The hardcore boxing fan, that's what they wanted him to fight. But the general public wanted him to fight Zab. Zab had a huge following, and especially in the urban community. And if you looked at the crowd, the urban community really wanted that fight to happen. So he fought him. We know what happened there. His very next fight was fighting Baltimore, who they said he ducked. He fought Baltimore next. Blew Baltimore out. They said he cherry picked him. Now that's crazy. But hey, that's life. Got to deal with it. So fought him. Then after that, it was the whole Margarito talk. Margarito, no marketability. None. Was he uh, uh, the toughest welterweight? That's up for debate. I've never been very impressed by Margarito, period. Even though he applied a lot of pressure and he had an iron chin. But other than that, I wasn't really that impressed. Skill wise, I wasn't that impressed. And you know, when the bricks controversy came out, a lot of fights just seemed suspect. Off topic, real quick. Go back and look at the Margarito and Cotto first fight, where Cotto's winning in the early rounds. But if you watch, Cotto was bleeding by like the second round. Like he had like a nosebleed, or his mouth was busted. You could see like he's already busting him up early. When you look at it in retrospect, those rounds that you thought Cotto was winning, you can see the damage already being brought. And I'm sure he had bricks in his hands at the time. Anyway, so Floyd does not fight Margarito. And they say he ducked him. Oh, you know, Bob Arum offered him $8 million to fight Margarito. He ducked it and bought out his contract. He didn't duck Margarito. He went to fight De La Hoya. Now, if somebody told me, okay, I'm going to give you $8 million for this fight, and I think he got, I'm not positive, so don't quote me on this, but I think he got $20 million to fight De La Hoya that first fight. They tell you, okay, I'm going to give you $8 million to fight this guy, or $20 million. I don't care who's better. I don't care. Let's say Margarito was better. I ain't fighting Margarito first. I'm fighting De La Hoya. And Floyd knew the game. You beat De La Hoya, and now suddenly his whole fan base knows who you are. And now you're a household name. He wasn't a household name before that. He's a household name now. It's the same formula that Manny took, which I want to touch base on that also. So he fights De La Hoya, beats him. The next hot dude was Ricky Hatton. You know, Ricky Hatton beat the 140-pound destroyer Costa Tszyu, who to me also really wasn't all that good. I mean, he wasn't a bum. And let me be clear, I don't think any of these fighters are just bums. But there's a certain level of fighter that's a step above a good fighter. And Costa Tszyu wasn't that. There's some special fighters out there. Costa Tszyu has never been special. If people don't forget that in the first round, Zab was destroying Costa Tszyu. He hurt him in the first round. And really he only lost because he's like he said, he got cocky. You know, it's so easy in the first round. You start relaxing. Plus Zab don't like pressure either. So, that has a little to do with it too. But, we go back. Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton wears down and beats up the 140-pound king. And everybody's just, they're all hyped about that. So then that's Floyd's next fight. Now, is he the toughest guy to fight? Hell no. But to the public he was. As far as marketability, marketing the fight, and toughness balanced with it, or promoting the fight, and him being a good fighter, he was the top person. Now, was he the top person overall? Just as overall the best person, the best welterweight for Floyd to fight? No. Number one, he wasn't a welterweight. That's first off. And number two, he just wasn't the best one at welterweight for him to fight. Period. But as far as his skill, or not skill, as far as just him being good and his marketability, he was the best to fight. Floyd fought him. They pumped it up. A lot of people thought Hatton was going to win, which was crazy. And we all saw what happened. Then you had, he retired after that, matter of fact. Quote unquote retired. When he came back, who'd he fight? Marquez. We all know why he fought Marquez. People forget this. They keep saying, Floyd made him come up in weight, and then he cheated him on the weight, on the scales, and blah, 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 blah. Number one, Marquez called Floyd out. But that really didn't have nothing to do with it. It's not like, he called him out and that's why he fought him. He fought him to build up or quote unquote promote the Pacquiao fight. Because that's who Pacquiao was having all types of problems with in his other fights. So Floyd, I want to come out of retirement after 2 years and show you what I can do to this boy. We all know what happened. If you haven't noticed, Manny was doing the same thing. Manny followed the same blueprint of the De La Hoya. Fought De La Hoya. Got mad popular. The average person didn't know who Manny was before that. The next person he fought, Ricky Hatton. Was he damaged goods? Absolutely. Was he the hardest person that Manny could have fought? Absolutely not. Markability wise, yes, he was the best person. And the reason he was the best person, markability wise, wasn't because Ricky Hatton was so marketable and they just thought, Ricky Hatton's gonna give Manny a tough fight. No, it's if I beat him, it's basically promoting the Floyd fight because Floyd fought him. And we saw what happened. He knocked him out with one punch. I thought the boy was dead. Dead. I was like, when you knocked out with your eyes open, that's crazy. I thought the boy was dead. Beat him, and everybody started talking about what he would do to Floyd. Then you got, then he fought, Cotto. Now that Cotto fight, he drained Cotto. That was suspect to me. Plus, and I'll put it out there already. I mean, we all, like the Manny thing, we know to deal with that. Manny was, I've watched Manny his whole career. He was never that good. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna touch base on that yet. We'll get to that. So he beats Cotto, who they said Floyd ducked, which was actually ridiculous because I remember when Floyd was trying to fight Cotto at 140 pounds, and Cotto's people said that Cotto wasn't ready, but he was the champ. So that was weird. So then they later said Floyd was ducking him. So he beats Cotto, who they said Floyd was ducking. Okay? But, punishes him. Then he fights Clottey, this is after he refused the drug testing with Floyd, and they made that Clottey fight quick. Now, honestly, I have no problem with the Clottey fight. Like, a lot of people talk about that fight. That Clottey fight, I have no problem with it. The main reason I have no problem with it because Clottey was a beast at that time. Just for some reason, when he got in the ring with Pacquiao, he didn't fight back. But Clottey was a big welterweight. Now, he had lost to Cotto, but it was a tough fight that was debatable. He was beating Margarito until he hurt his hands. But that was a good fight. That fight was more really for the hardcore boxing fans because the average person didn't know who Clottey was, and I had no problem with that fight. Not at all. Then he fought Margarito, which was bogus. But, he fought Margarito. Same thing for promotion. This is the guy that they said Floyd was ducking, so I'm going to fight him. Now, mind you, Margarito had already been, decapitated by Mosley. And this is one thing people forget. After that Mosley fight, he had another fight after that. He didn't just go right into fighting Pacquiao. It wasn't that he had the Mosley fight, he was suspended for a year, and then he fought Pacquiao. He had the Mosley fight, he was suspended, and then he had another fight at 154. And at that time, it was very clear that this was not the same Margarito. I don't even remember the dude's name. That guy, I could have researched it on BoxRec, but hey, it don't matter. You can research it. But he had another fight after that Mosley fight that he won, but he was backing up during that fight, which was the first time I ever seen that for Margarito. Margarito backing up? That's unheard of. He's backing up during that fight. And then his next fight was with Manny. And we saw what he did. We saw what Manny did to him. But that was just another promotion fight. Then he fought Mosley. Same thing, promotion fight. Floyd fought Mosley. I'm gonna fight Mosley and show you, what could be done. Then he fought Bradley. Could he have fought somebody tougher than Bradley? Probably. But Bradley was the best at 154. Kind of like when Floyd fought Hatton. Hatton was the best at 140. The same deal. Now, let's say you take... Now, you fought Marquez. That was really just for money. Same thing. It's easy to promote that fight because they got history. But after, when you fight somebody 7, 8, 9 times, then it starts getting a little silly. You got knocked out. Then the Rios fight was just to build his confidence up. But here's the problem. This is where the problems arise. That Rios fight happened, and people started really catching on, and even if they didn't know they were catching on, they started catching on to the promotion aspect, and they weren't really respecting Manny and his fight choices all like that, which you could see in the pay-per-view numbers. They could gas Rios up all they wanted to, but Rios was unproven at 147 pounds, and he was coming off a loss. At the very least, Pacquiao could have fought the dude who beat Rios, who was Alvarado, and that would have been a ridiculous fight because Alvarado is not a 147 pounder. Then the fight with Algieri, there was nothing you could, they tried to cleverly promote it. Oh, he's 6 foot, he's this, and he has the reach, and he's a nutritionist, and and he gets let out the cage. You got let out the cage, all right. But at that point in time, people just totally rejected it. It was, it was over. Like, now he needed to fight the best. The strategy that they were using had wore thin. But in all reality, I ain't mad at the strategy. The only thing I'm mad about, I didn't like the catch weights. I thought it was a little unfair to the fighters that they were fighting against. But as far as the strategy, hey, as far as making money and all that, you got to make money. Make money, build your legacy. Make money, build your legacy, have a highly promoted fight. That's the key to boxing. Now you take Canelo. Canelo was spoon fed his whole career, but, and there's a but to it. When he fought Austin Trout, that changed things. Because Austin Trout, everybody was wanting him to fight him. Oh, they were, Austin Trout had just beat Cotto. He was hot then. He fights Trout. Beats him. Some people say it's debatable, but I thought he won. Next, he fights Mayweather. Gets blitzed. He got blitzed. But then his next fight, he fought Angulo, who lost to Lara, but it was still, Angulo's a tough fighter. He was one of the best at that division. I mean, it was a good matchmaking. They saw something in Angulo that they thought Canelo could expose, and he did. But the general public or the average boxing fan didn't see it that way. And they thought it was like a 50-50 fight. So he fought him. And then after that, he fought Lara. Okay? And so he went from Trout, Mayweather, Angulo, Lara. Now, he's fighting Kirkland next. Is Kirkland the best 154-pounder for him to fight? I don't think so, but he's solid. So I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him for fighting Kirkland because it's still a solid fight. And the last 4 fights he's had have been pretty solid. So I'm not mad at him because of that. And if his next fight is Cotto or even somebody else average, I won't be mad. But then after that, you got to fight somebody that's a champion. You got to get right back on that horse. Okay, you had a nice little streak, you know, Mayweather, Trout, Angulo, Lara, but you starting to take some steps back, into the whole cherry picking, like they're spoon fed, like they did you your whole career. You don't want to step back to that, or maybe you do, but you shouldn't. Now, if you go back, because after that he should be fighting Andre, or maybe they're one of the Charlo brothers. Even Martirosin, I like him. He's not. I don't think he's the best, but he's still solid. Or if you get a fight with Manny or Floyd again, even though no one wants to see that, but if you could win it, it'll help you. Now let's jump back to Floyd. Let's jump back to Floyd real quick. Yeah, when Floyd fought Victor Ortiz, people say, "Oh, he shouldn't have fought Ortiz." Well, Ortiz was hot then. He beat up Berto. And they tried to gas him up as the new Devastator. We saw what happened when he fought Floyd. Same thing with Guerrero. When Guerrero beat Berto, he was hot then. Public loved him. There was images of Berto's face all swollen up. He was hot. That's why Floyd fought him. And Maidana was hot. You beat baby bro. You beat baby bro. So it was great promotion. And even though people forget, Adrian Broner almost got back into that fight until he got knocked down the second time. He was coming on, and that fight was almost even. But he got knocked down again, and then it was smooth sailing. The only issue I got with Floyd is the second Maidana fight. But that second Maidana fight was just for the casuals, because they were saying, "Oh, Floyd lost," so there was a second one. But I'm telling y'all, man, it ain't a lot of people that's ducking anybody. People trying to make money and build a legacy, but be smart about it, and that's it. And that's real talk. You want to make money, you want to build a legacy, you want to be smart about it. So when you retire, you don't got to retire brain damage and broke. Get familiar.